Right, peeps, I'm back, and I'm back in a very positive mood because there was one rule that we got today, one new rule that everybody hates. I haven't met a single player who likes this rule, and I'm embracing it. I think it's a great opportunity, and you know me, everyone likes a rule, I'm going to hate it, but everyone hates a rule, I'm going to love it. And I can see opportunities with this. They're giving us 5 free transfers, and the community's complaining. I mean, what can you do to keep them happy? I don't know. Some people, peeps, never positive, always complaining. They need to be more like myself. So I'm going to show you how you can use these transfers to very good advantage. Very good advantage. Now, the reason people don't like them is because they think that it's dumbed down the game and made it too easy for the casuals. Well, I'll put that to bed straight away, because once we get our 5 free transfers in game week 16, we are going to use them very wisely. Having 5 free transfers, for a lot of us, that was just a distant dream last season. You know, I got nowhere near having 5. But to be given 5 is a massive opportunity that will set us up for the rest of the season. While a lot of the casual players that get their 5 transfers, they'll all be gone in 2 weeks and they'll be back to square one. But for us, it's going to provide a lot of extra options to actually show off our planning skills, and it's not actually going to detract from them like a lot of people are saying. So first thing, we'll look at the chips. Now the wildcard, a lot of people were talking about a bench boost in game week 1 and using a wildcard for this, that and the other. Now the wildcard is now completely useless for the latter part of this first half of the season. I put it to you that there's no point having it after game week 16 because you've only got a few weeks to use it and you've already got 5 free transfers. I think it's suboptimal to use it just before you get the 5 free transfers as well, because it doesn't give your wildcard long enough to build up an advantage. You know, when you play your wildcard, you want it to help you for 4 or 5 weeks. So I suspect that playing at any time after game week 10 is probably a bit suboptimal as well. I'm picking up these bad habits, you know, like suboptimal. It's all this talk from the analytic mob, isn't it? But it seems to me that the best strategy now with this wildcard and this whole 5 extra transfers is to play aggressively. You know, like we used to do. A lot of us used to do, and I still do, to be honest. Which is to get out there. Don't be afraid of early transfers. Save some money up. You know, buy the hot items. Bank some money. And don't be afraid even to take hits. I've heard people saying we've got so many free transfers you never have to take a hit. But if you can take hits that are really getting you great players and you're making money, why not? You know, 1 or 2 hits is still acceptable. But you can play aggressively because you've got that wild card in hand. And not only have you got it in hand, you actually want to play it fairly quickly. Because the earlier you play it, the more benefit you can get from it. You know, I'm talking game week 4, game week 5, game week 6. That's the sort of time I think we want to be playing our wild cards. Maybe 7 and 8 is acceptable. You don't want to leave it too close until we're getting these 5 extra transfers. Now the bench boost, until today, the strategy that was emerging was to use it in game week 1. Now that's still a legitimate strategy, I think. Still a legitimate strategy. But the whole point of playing it, well, a big part of playing it in game week 1 was you could play your bench boost. You'd have good players on your bench that you could then use to cover for any injured players over the following few weeks, which would mean you didn't need to take any transfers and you could save up 5 free transfers. Well, now saving up 5 free transfers early on is now a bit of a waste of time, because if you've got any left in game week 15, they're just going to get wiped because they're only going to top you up to 5. So any you go into in game week 15, you're just going to lose them. So and really, if you're going to build up to 5 free transfers, you want to keep them for a long period of time. So I think that diminishes the game week 1 bench boost, but it also creates a really good opportunity And that opportunity is to play the bench boost either in game week 15 or game week 16, once you've got your chips, or game week 17 or whenever, sometime around there. Because supposing you do save up transfers, we might still save up transfers, and you go into game week 15 and you've got 3 transfers, you're going to lose them. So what you can do is use them to improve your bench and play the bench boost. And then the following week, you're going to get these 5 free transfers, and you can play 1 or 2 to correct your bench if that's what you want to do, or you can just hang on to the players that you've bought. But it gives you options. Either you can play it once you've got your 5 free transfers. If you've got a couple of duds sitting on your bench, you can take them out with a couple of your 5 free transfers and play your bench boost then. As for the free hit, I think free hit you just put in your back pocket for any disasters, or any unforeseen double game weeks. The weather's a bit erratic. You never know. There could be a postponement somewhere or other. But I think this provides a lot of opportunity. And people complaining that the casuals are getting 5 free transfers, they are missing the point that they will use them up straight away and then be left with none. Well, you're going to have 5 free transfers, possibly for the same first time ever. A lot of us haven't had that luxury yet. So I'm really looking forward to getting 5 free transfers and to really plan really, really well after having those 5 free transfers. And it's going to be really good, I think. And it's actually going to improve our planning skills rather than diminish them, as a lot of people are saying. I cannot believe you all turning your noses up at these transfers. What's wrong with you peeps? Honestly. Because I know a lot of us didn't want these rules, did we? I mean, if they knew they were going to give us 5 free transfers, why did they also give us so many chips in the first half? It's like a roller coaster, isn't it? Every week there's a chip or anything. But we're stuck with it now, and I think what we've got to do is embrace it, enjoy the chaos. Because we normally do well when there's chips. I mean, look how we all get on in the second half of the season. It's normally when chip season starts that we all fly through the ranks. Admittedly, everyone else has used theirs by then, which isn't the case this time. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it allows us to play aggressively early on. We've got those 5 transfers in the bank, almost another extra wild card, really, which means we can be more aggressive with our first wild card. I think it's great. And, I think the people that are going to suffer from this are the analytic crowd, who are very, very, very patient. They'll often build up. They were the ones last season that were building up 5 free transfers, and now they're going to have to force themselves almost to use them. When their algorithm might be telling them to save, they'll have to start using them. And whether they'll do that wisely or not, I do not know. But there are definitely different ways to play this game. And all these chips and these 5 transfers add an extra layer to the game. And it might not be the same skills as we were using last season, but it will involve certain skills and thinking fast on your feet. And there are opportunities here. Opportunities. So I'm kind of embracing it. Having said all that, I did put out a tweet on Twitter today asking, pretty much begging, if we could have a classic FPL game, FPL Classic, to play alongside the main game. Basically, FPL Classic would be 1 wild card for the entire season. You could still build up 5 free transfers, and that would be it. Apart from that, it would be old-fashioned FPL. And I don't think it's an outlandish idea. It's probably too late for this season, but I think it's better than having something like FPL Challenge. Why not have FPL Classic? I play a lot of video games, and a lot of them, I think World of Warcraft did it, for one, where they went back and made a classic version, and it stripped away all the stuff that had accumulated over the years, and it was like playing the game from day one, and it was pretty popular. But the problem with it was the graphics and that were kind of outdated. It's quite hard to go back and play a game from years ago because you have to get used to the graphics. But with FPL, that's not a problem. All you have to get used to is just having one wildcard and no fancy chips or anything else. So I don't see why we couldn't have that game running alongside this game. It's not like we wouldn't play this one. We'd play both, wouldn't we? This one for the roller coaster ride and the other for the kind of intellectual challenge and the long-term planning of only having one wild card for the entire season. Anyway, that's about it for today. Tomorrow, I've got my positive pants on, peeps. You can see they're not actually positive pants, but they're certainly very colourful pants, aren't they? Or as I like to call them, pyjamas. Because I'm very lazy, even though it is only 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But, but there are a lot of, it's chaos, absolute chaos, isn't it, really, the last 2 days? It's been very draining with all these chips coming on board. And it's not finished yet. I don't know what we're going to get today. There could be changes to the deadline, changes to the way we do our transfers even. I just don't know. We don't know if the changes are finished yet. But being a Sunday, we might not hear anything. Or we could get team reveals. Game could launch on Monday. We just don't know. But things have been moving extremely quickly. And once the game's out, I think it's going to settle down a bit. And we have to decide on a strategy, which is why I've come on and done this, because we don't have that long, only a few weeks. And people have to decide if they're bench boosting game week 1 or they're playing it by ear, basically. But I do not think we need to worry about these 5 transfers dumbing the game down, because it is going to change the way we play, but it's not really going to dumb it down, because having them, when we get them, is going to be great. Having those 5 transfers, it's going to influence our play, I think, all the way up until about game week 30, for those of us that hopefully can hang on to them. It'll mean we can play our second wild card later than we otherwise would have done. Maybe utilise the second bench boost at some point with the free transfers we get from AFCON. And, other people are going to use them all up, aren't they? So it's going to be good. Going to be good. I've had a busy day today, peeps, on the old FPL front. Did the lock-in last night with Gary, the new show that me and Gary are co-hosting on Saturday nights. It's going to be every Saturday night. We did that this morning. It was pretty good. We had like 90 people in at one stage, which is pretty good considering we're just starting off, So there's going to be a lot more of those throughout the season. They're all on Gary's channel. So this channel here will be doing other stuff. I've got an announcement to make in a couple of days when the game comes out. But really, put your positive pants on, embrace these 5 transfers that everybody hates, and make the most of it, because it's an opportunity, peeps. You can either treat it as a problem or an opportunity. And I can see it's actually, the more I think about it, the better this seems to me, these extra transfers. I know other people don't like them. But anyway, peeps, I'm off now. I will be back probably in a day or 2 once the game is hopefully launched. And I shall be doing my first watch list, which has now got quite interesting, because there's going to be a lot more players on it. We're going to have to consider all these players that are being boosted by the defensive stats, the clearances and all that type of thing, and the midfielders as well. So it's all up. There's a lot more to think about than there normally is, to be honest. So, it's interesting. At least it's new and interesting. So I'll talk to you all later, peeps, and cheers for now, once I've